Hello and welcome to NotesIn9. I'm David Leedy and this is an extended edition. Extended episode 11, XPages split screen, view and document. If XPages was called Banana Pages, this show would be a banana split. And we're talking to XPages developers here. Okay, before we get into the nitty gritty here, here's the disclaimer that I'm going to be able to do away with shortly because 853 Gold is due out in a couple weeks. Actually, maybe next week, I think it is. And right now, I am using beta code, so some things could change between the last code drop that I got and with the gold version coming out on October 4th, I believe it is. So just so you know about that. Anyway. Okay, so this is a different show. This is a viewer question from Erskine Harris, and basically what he wants to do is he wants to know how to do like a view and a document at the same time. So you update, you've got a view on the left-hand side. You split the screen, I guess, and you see the view on the left-hand side. We can click on a document, edit it on the right, have it update the view back on the left. You know, kind of like a going back and forth kind of thing. So I thought, well, that's a good idea. Let's give that a shot. But before we get into the demo, let me talk about this. I don't do a lot of your questions because one, I don't get that many, and two, the ones I get are usually too advanced for me. But this was an easy one, so I thought I would do this. The best place to get help for questions is the XPages forum at search for Google for XPages space forum. That's how I always get there, but there is the link if you actually wanted to type that in. And there's a lot of smarter people than I am who hang out in that forum. I try to. I just have been very busy with life lately. But that's the number one place to do. I do want to try to do a few more viewer questions. I've got a couple in the queue that I think I can handle. So that's going to come. But again, I'm not a good source of help like that. But this one kind of appealed to me because it was easy and I needed a break. But in this show, this is not my smoothest show, even though it's an extended edition, because I in the demo I did the work ahead of time just to make sure I could do it. But then when I tried to do in the demo, I messed up the CSS and stuff like that, so it's not very pretty. And I'm not too good at CSS. And if anyone wants to come on and do some CSS tips, just let me know. But the pretty version will be downloadable on xpagescheatsheet.com. I'm going to demonstrate that in the beginning. I also demonstrate in the end where to go to actually download the link. So again, you're more than welcome to download that and my fake names database for your usage. So, okay, well, with that said, let's go into the demo. Okay, so what we're going for today that Erskine kind of like specifically wanted to learn about was basically having a view on one side and a document on the right-hand side. So you could click on your view items, and this is actually a repeat control, not a view, because I don't like view controls. And it changes over here through a partial refresh, and then we can click edit, and go back to read mode. So that's like a toggle. We can come down here, we can edit a different one, and we can put some kind of change in here and say save, and it updates this instantly. And we can go away from it, come back in, fix it again because that'll just bug me. And there you go. So that's what we're about to build. Okay, so I'm going to do, rather than doing the original thing that I built in the for the demo was in custom controls. I'm going to rebuild it, probably just using an X page, and we'll just see how that works. It might be a little easier than breaking up into the custom controls and stuff. The first thing I want to do is I want to get my view data. Now, the view data is going to be bound to this foreign database. Whoops. And just because I'm kind of lazy, and I should have probably done this ahead of time, but I'm going to just steal a data source from up here. So this repeat one uses this data source, which is really all I want. So I'm just going to take that and paste that into my source up here. And don't worry, we're going to go through it in depth. So all this is basically saying is xp this dot data, which is a data source. It's a view, which corresponds to like a view in this world here, and the database name, and this is the formula for the database name. And this is a formula that I've commonly used. There's another variant of this formula that doesn't use at functions, which works too. And then XP this dot view name is this guy over here, this view name, which is by name small. It's like a subset of names. And then lastly, this XP keys is this filter by column value. We don't actually want that. We don't need it, so we're just going to get rid of that. And that should have disappeared here. Maybe I have to resave it. Yeah, okay, it's gone. So there you go. Okay, so what we need to do is the first thing we need to do now is build our repeat control. Okay, and what we're going to do is find our little container controls over here. Find a repeat. Oh, actually, let's just put this in a panel first. Okay, so we'll have a panel, and we'll call this view panel. Again, I'm not a big CSS guy, so we'll see if that'll work for us or not. But that's what I did in the custom control. So then we have a repeat, and the repeat is going to be bound to view1, which is what our data source name was. So in the view, or in the repeat, we're going to then come in and create a link. Okay, and the link is going to be computed. Oh, wait, let's go back to the repeat because I'm getting ahead of myself. Of course, we need to give our repeat a collection name. And again, the collection name doesn't mean anything about the collection or so. This is the current item, the current document, the current value that we're processing. That's our handle to it. So we're going to come into link, and the label is going to be something like row data dot get column values 1 or 0 actually, if I can do it right. So what this is going to do is going to get the first column of the view. So if we come down to our database and we look at our view by name small, this should give us name. Oh, let's even show that. So that should give us that if all goes well. Okay, and we'll look at this, and because I don't know how to set up servers, I've got to do this. Okay, so we've got our repeat. Okay, so we're kind of ahead of the game so far. It kind of looks bad. So we're going to come into the source right here after the this text thing there, this link, and we'll just put I think the shortcut is just /br in there, and we'll save that. Come back here and refresh it. Okay, maybe it's not the shortcut. I thought you could do that. Okay, I guess I was wrong. So you learn something new every day. Okay, so now we've got our repeat, and we've got a link in this repeat. I'm going to come back to this link, and we have to tell it what to do. So the link has to do something. And what we're going to do with the link is on click, we're going to set a view scope variable. View scope, and let's do this. Dot put, we're going to put it into scope, and we'll call it unit. And it's going to be our current document, row data get universal ID. Okay, and what is row data in this case? Row data is basically an XSP view entry. So if we look here at Notes XSP view entry, and we have get universal ID right here, which is hopefully spelled correctly. If not, it will let us know later on. Okay, so that's that. So we're going to make another panel now. And this is going to be for our document. So let's put a little text here. And this panel is going to need, we're going to need to have a data source to get to the document. So we're going to come back to our data source up here. And we're going to paste this snippet in, and let's look at that closer. And I guess we'll do this in source. Nah, source kind of stinks. So let's go back to the IDE. Sorry about that. Okay, so now we've got user doc. This is what I just pasted in. And if we look at the database computed, same thing. And if we look at the form name that's computed, just the name of the form. That's not rocket science here. But here's the kind of the keys. I'm going to open it by default, and the document ID is going to be viewScope.getUnit. Okay, so we put it in. We put it in the unit. Put the unit in the viewScope or universal ID. I guess the same thing. When we click on the link, and then this data source for the document is going to access that. Okay, and let's do that. So we're going to put two edit boxes in here. And this will be user doc, and we can just type this in because we can't use the drop downs because we're computing to a foreign database, and it doesn't know what to do. So first name, and then this will be last name. And again, this is right off the form, basically. Okay, so this is a panel, and I'm going to call this inner panel. Now that kind of implies that I'm going to want to have an outer panel. So we're going to have an outer panel as well. Okay, and I'm going to call this outer panel. And I'm going to use the little outline guy over here, and I'm going to move inner panel into outer panel. So it's not just a clever name, it actually is what it is. And inner panel, what we're going to do is we don't want that to be visible unless there's actually a document, which kind of makes sense because there'd be nothing here. So I'm going to come into visible and compute that, and I'm going to say if view, again, this someone told me about this technique. So this basically it's a Boolean thing. It's a kind of a JavaScript. It just works. So if there is a unit, then it's going to be true. So I don't have to do like if it's test for blank and also if is null or so. This kind of like just takes care of all that. So if there is a value, it's going to return true. If not, it's going to return false. So the first time we run this page, this should be hidden. Okay. So, but what we want to do with the link is after we click on it, we want to do a partial update on the outer panel. So the outer panel, this guy here, holds the inner panel. You can't refresh the inner panel if it's not visible, which means it's not rendered, which means it doesn't exist. You can't refresh or do a partial update on something that doesn't exist. So we do a partial update on the outer panel. Okay, and then it will redraw what's inside it and then do the evaluation. So let's even see if any of this works. And I don't have any good. Now we're not seeing anything right now for the document. Now if we click this, there it is down here. Now again, I haven't put it to the side yet. We'll do some CSS stuff in a minute for that. But there you have it. And then if we do this and see how it's just refreshing, so we're closing in. Okay, so what we also want to have is some buttons here, because we're going to want to edit this stuff. So we're going to come in here and drop two buttons in. Oops, guess I can't do that. Okay, this is going to be my toggle button, and this what we're going to do is we're just going to do this simple action, change document mode, toggle. Okay, and then we have to change the name of it. But what do we call it? Do we call it read? Do we call it edit? We can compute it. And what we can do is we can go to our global business, our global objects, and go to user doc, and there's a property here for if is editable. So with a little JavaScript, which I'm not an expert of, but we can say if user doc is editable, then, that's what these little funny brackets are, return read, or read mode, I guess. And then else, if it's not editable, we'll return edit mode. Okay, so that doesn't seem too out of the realm of what we used to do. So let's save this and come back here, and I think this is probably the best thing to do here. Is we click on this one and we have edit mode because it's not in edit mode. Does it even work? And look, it's in edit mode. And now we want to go back to read mode. Up, back to read mode. Ah, it's kind of nice when that happens. Okay, so now over here, this obviously needs to be a save button. And we're going to go to events, and we're just going to do some kind of like save document. And there's only one document on this page. I'm not sure. I'd probably like to use server-side JavaScript, especially if you had more things going on. But that should save it. Okay, so now like the next thing we have to do is kind of try and put these things side by side. Again, the worst thing I am is with a CSS, and I'm working on that, but I'm not there yet. So I'm going to do this as 50, this panel. Try to do this panel as 50%, 50, and no, I don't think that in itself is going to do it for us. No. So what we need to do, and I'm going to actually move this document one. Let's move the Word document, and I should probably use a label control for that so we can style it. But I'm going to move that outside the outer panel, or into the outer panel, so it will always show, right? So now we should at least see documents. So document is now the text is in the outer panel, and then the inner panel is the one that's controlled of whether or not we've actually chosen a document. But we still have to get to move this to the right hand side. And I've got some CSS in here under resources, and I'm not in the right database. So over here in resources, style sheets, application. Okay, so float right is what we're gonna do here. So this style of share this, which is what I use for this stuff over here. It's basically just a float right. So we're gonna use that. So how do we use that? We're going to first add this resource to our page. Resource, add some CSS style sheets, application, and then we're going to come down to the outer, and we'll style this with the share this guy. If we can get it there, and let's see if that works. I've kind of gone off script a little bit, if you noticed. Okay, well, it's a start though, don't you think? Actually, so when I actually did this, I used a table, and I'm trying to get away from being reliant on tables and stuff like that. So maybe if I do panel 45 and this guy is being 45, that will do it, but it doesn't look promising. Okay, well, anyway, let's just check and make sure it works. Adams E, and something changed over here. Well, I lost it. So we'll do this first one, Larry, and we'll edit it. Larry 2. I'll do save, and it did update Larry 2. And now what you can do is with the save button right now, it's doing a full refresh. Okay, so we could say that it, put both these things in a table or a panel, which is probably what I did, and we'll look at that in a minute, and not have to do a full refresh of the whole page. But right now it's doing a full refresh of the whole page. If we look at the original one I did, which obviously had a little more thought into it. So basically I did a table and kind of put these things in cells, and I'm trying to get away from cells, and I really thought just two panels next to each other with a float would work, but clearly I'm missing something that I'm sure someone will tell me about. So I think that's it. I hope it makes sense. So that really wasn't too hard to just come back here and change things around and affect the screen. So I will have this added to the side here. Split screen will be in here, and I will update the demo app relatively soon, so you can actually download the good version. Okay, so let me just show you in the good version. We have a split screen here, and we have the where is it? Person document, a custom control for person document, and I just threw all those onto a page called split screen, and there they are. Okay, so sorry about the CSS and the kind of the prettiness mess up. This demo will be included in the demo app cheatsheet.nsf, which is on xpagescheatsheet.com, and it'll be in the side here called split screen, I assume. So if you want, you can download it from here. And here's the fake names database as well, and of course here's the cheat sheets. So again, that has a prettier version to it. Again, sorry about that, but what can I tell you? I screwed up. So thank you for for watching the demo. And that's the demo. Again, I'm sorry I kind of messed up the panels and layout and stuff like that. Uh, I'm just not that good at that yet, but I'm trying. For more resources, XPages blog, XPages wiki. That XPages wiki is still, to me, one of the best sites out there for XPages stuff. You've got Planet Lotus, all sorts of great people blogging about it. You've got some great paid resources. TLCC.com has a two courses now in XPages and a free one for 3, and I believe they've been doing some webinars, and they've been going to lugs, and they're just a class outfit. Matt White's XPages 101 is like the video site, so if you like mine, it's kind of like mine but better. And XPages Bootcamp, I should update the slide. They're actually running an advanced thing now, or starting up. So the boot camp may be done, but now they've got this advanced thing. I think I saw an email about. So that's kind of cool. So there you have that. And if you need me, here's kind of like some of my contact information. And I thank you for your time.